My name is Ruth Jones. My maiden name is Lovell. My father's Samuel Lovell. My mother's Opal Lovell. They came here from Oklahoma. They came on train and by bus. They had 4 little boys with them, and they had to stop in Texas to deliver a girl on the way. They entered around in the 1940s. They went to Linnell Camp. At that time, Linnell Camp was a Army base. It had like dome-like metal buildings where they housed the troops there. And the migrants came into here and they settled there and lived there in the Army base areas because it was abandoned by the Army at that time. And so the migrants came in there and settled there. They got off the Orange Belt stage there with 4 little boys and a newborn daughter. And Mrs. Petty come up, introduced herself, invited them into her home and fed them. They took residence there until my dad bought land on North Oakview Avenue Street in Farmersville. He bought it from Mr. Brundage, which lived on Brundage Street behind us. And right across the street from him was the Cossey House, which Paul Boyer lives there right now. And we're right behind him on Oakview Street. Right beside him was a house that belonged to Jim and Gladys Walton, which was my aunt, my mother's sister. They were from a family of 12, 10 girls, and 11 girls and 1 boy. The boy passed away when he was at 2 years old, and one girl passed away at 16. My mother was the oldest of all the children there. And their home was the Geiling home right behind the Postal Service right now. They had a house there. And on the Oakview, there's many people we lived on the street. The now engine shop was the Handy Market. That's where people shop there from the neighborhood. And then on the other end of the street, on Brundage Street, on Ash and Brundage, was the Anderson store. At the Handy Market, George and Betty Walsh Becker bought that store. And then behind us, I know all the people down the street, the different houses down the street were the Johnsons, the Tafts, the Candrills, the Hartmans, Andersons, all down the row. We had people that we went to school with. The flood of '55, I was standing on the porch, watched the water roll down the street. As it neared our house, some people's ducks got out and they were just floating, having a big old ball down rolling down the street. I stood on the porch and watched as my mom and dad, they had just bought a baby pig, and so they're trying to get it into the rabbit coop to get it out of the water. And as we left, the water was almost knee-high. When we got out of there, we had to migrate to Exeter, to where my aunt lived, and she took us in for the night. And otherwise, we'd had to migrate to the memorial building where they set up camp for people to go there. I was born in that house, so of course we had the outhouse. My dad made a shower out of 2x4s and framing, and he put a gunny sack, cotton sacks around it. And for a shower, he put a 55-gallon barrel on top of that. And he'd put water in, let the sun heat the barrel up, and then that's how we took showers. And then our hospital was Exeter, but I wasn't born there. I was just born at the house there. The schools, there was no kindergarten. I had to enter 1st grade. Mrs. Smith was my 1st grade teacher. Mr. Snowden was the principal. And our food was 25 cents per day to buy. But if you worked in the cafeteria, you could work and get your food for free for that week. And so they shifted time with the kids so each person could get a shift for free food. And
well, you mentioned Mr. Snowden. Do you have any stories about kind of the discipline there was for students back in those days, and anything that he might have
yeah,
done?
he is a very gruff talking person. He's very tall and intimidating. And if you misbehaved, like some of the boys did, he'd run around with this paddle in his hand and slap it. And just walk around the school grounds. And of course, some of the boys had to be called into the office and get punished, and that was their punishment, to get paddled with that paddle. And one thing when kids remembered is how bold he was. And Mrs. Smith was my first grade teacher, and she married him. And the kids were so disheartened because she was such a nice, gentle person, and everybody loved her, and then she married him. That didn't make sense. They didn't like that at all. No, he had the strict rule. If their kid messed up, he was going to paddle them or he was going to punish them. There was no parental guidance there. He had the authority over the school to do that.
Can you tell us a little bit about Memorial Day, the parades in town?
Oh yeah, that was a big event. Everybody walked. We walked from Oakview all the way to Farmersville Boulevard. Stood there in front of the post office and watched the parade. It's lots of horses, beautiful horses, and everybody made their own floats. And it was a big, long process. That was a big deal to have that parade.
Can you describe, like, were the roads paved back?
Visalia Road was a 2-lane. Farmersville was a dirt road. There was no cement, nothing. And of course, later on, they put in the sewer system and water system, and I can remember them being great big old huge holes in the roadway, and it's just big mess there in the road because it's all dirt. We played in the road. That's where we did our hopscotch, volleyball, and all that stuff in the road. Just a gravel road, and when the road would come, car would come, we'd say, "Car coming," and everybody would go to the side and let the car go by, and then we'd go back in and play again. My first bicycle, my brothers found it in the sand ditch. We call it the sand ditch. I don't know what the ditch is called right now, but it runs through the streets. And they brought a frame home, and my dad went to the dump grounds in Exeter, picked up the wheels and tires and stuff and fixed it up, and that was my first bicycle at 4th grade. So I had to share with my sister, so I'd ride it one day to school and she'd ride it the next day. And in that school, at Hester School, they had a safety committee people, and the kids in the higher grades would be the safety committee person. We'd have to wear this cap, orange cap with the belts across us with a safety committee thing on the lapel. We'd have to go out 10 minutes early before school ended. We'd have to go to the crosswalks and stop the cars with a sign held up for the traffic to stop so the kids could cross the street. There was no permitting of skipping and running. We had to walk. If we caught running or skipping, the safety committee person would report us, and we'd have to report to a teacher in the morning. She'd assign a duty for us. We had to write sentences on the board or do something to punish us for skipping or running while going home or coming home. When my dad bought the property from Brundage, he bought it for $400. He paid 50 cents a month for it because he only got 50 cents a week working. He lived with the 4 boys and this baby girl in an army tent on the property while he built the house. He bought the wood, used wood, from a lumber place in Exeter, like a lumber mill. He'd put pieces of lumber on top of his car and bring it home. And he had built the house out of that. Right now, I and my husband has refurbished that house. We live in it now ourselves. And that lumber that he put on the ceiling in the house is now inside my kitchen and in my dining room as beautiful wood, beautiful redwood. I remember in high school when the announcement of John F. Kennedy was murdered. I was in the year of 64, 63 and 64. Yeah, that was a very shocking day for us. I was in the gym at that time when I heard.
How about the stores or businesses you shop? Farmersville businesses or stores you shop?
Yeah, and I remember the buildings, a Nickel Payless store. It's now the Spanish store there. And right in their far portion of their parking lot right now was a long building. That building was a hardware and feed store. And it had a big old ramp where you could walk on. And for their advertisement for Nickel Payless store, the Cousin Herb show on Channel 23, they had every day or every night. Their band would come and play. And that band was called Fuzzy Owings, Bonnie Owings, Merle Haggard, Buck Owings was part of their band area. Cousin Herb was a pianist on Channel 23 program. So, and then down by the railroad tracks was where the fire station was and Memorial Building was. On that corner, right off with them was the hair salon and barber shop. That's where I took my 3 boys to get their first haircuts when they were born. Anything else?
I think you've done really good. I really
Okay.
appreciate you